So, you just bought a 10-gallon tank, huh? Cute. Now, let's figure out which fish are chill roomies and which ones will turn your tank into a crime scene. This is the official 10-gallon fish tier list, because not all fish are built for nanolife. Let's roast some gills. Starting off, these little dudes are basically putting, tell me your chaotic energy on fish steroids. They're about the size of a jawbreaker, but with a Napoleon complex. You blink and they're already on strike. They're native to India, and they're one of the rare freshwater puffers. So, no salt squad here, buddy. It's fresh vibes only. They absolutely refuse to be nice to other fish. If there isn't live food in a solidarity-only setup or species only, your tank mates are toast. Watching them hunt snails, though, both satisfying and horrifying. They're affectionate in like a I'll follow your finger sort of way, but you do not trust that face. Seed of Chaos? Yeah. More like full-blown Pineapple Express with gills. Tier B. It's possible, but only if you live by the no roommates rule. Now, this one hits different, all right? These are old-school internet energy. Think Vine-era nostalgia with underwater sass. Yeah. These fish have been around since the OG aquarium era when your grandpa got excited about fish. Yeah. They're flashy, they're elegant, and they brood like they're auditioning for a moody indie film. I mean, zero chill. Cool thing, though? They can handle cooler temps, so if your heater ghosts, they're still vibing. But ask too much of a 10-gallon tank and it's basically an old smartphone trying to survive a full-day TikTok binge. Overheated and very angry. They'll flare gills, chase everything, and look like they're plotting against you, providing them a minimum 20-gallon setup and some leafy hideouts, and they can be Instagram-worthy. Tier D here. Not their fault, but a studio apartment is not long enough for their main character energy.
Warning, aesthetic tornado incoming.
Yeah, see, these little red dots are literally micro-influencers. Tiny, bright, and always performing for the camera. Now, they are peaceful, they're low drama, and they literally vibe with plants. And so you fill the tank, add some lush greens, and these guys turn on the charm. They swim in synchronized school vibes so clean, your For You page algorithm would weep. And they don't cause trouble. No fin flicking, no unhinged behavior. They just exist in this cozy chill wave aesthetic. But just watch out, because you're gonna need at least 6 for that full squad glow. Tier A, baby. Pure ambience. Totally worth the stocking space. Bettas. Oh boy, the reality TV star of the aquarium world. You see them in cups at the store and entranced by their colorful fins like they're Vegas headliners. They're dramatic, they're extravagant, and they thrive on attention and theatrics. Heaters, filters, weekly water changes, they demand spa-level care. Fail once? Oh, they'll make you pay by fin fading or freaking out. Short fin bettas or female bettas can work with other tank mates, but even then they're like that one friend who always tries to start something at group projects. They flare, they flaunt, and they do the heartbreak emotion. Swim up, stare at you, acting all, I care, but I don't expect hugs. They're the divas that you secretly love, so we're slapping them in Tier A. High maintenance? Yes. Worth it? Also yes, as long as you're down to treat them like the drama queens that they are. Now imagine the sweetest short you've ever seen. No clapback, no drama, just pure aesthetic wholeness. That is the honey Gorami. They float around like they're in their own ASMR video. I'm not kidding. Gentle heads ups, curious gaze, it's endgame calming influence in your tank. They're bubble nesters, so they can start a cozy little family anytime, yet they're entirely chill. They greet newer tank mates like they're welcoming them into their cozy bubble life. They don't chase shrimp. They're more into chic shrimp collab vibes, if that's even a thing. So you want a fish that's basically online self-care personified? This is it. Tier A. Pure escapism, zero red flags. Now, Guppies. These are the MLM moms of the aquarium hobby. One second you got a chill trio, and next you're knee-deep in unsolicited fry. Baby fish that are just materializing out of nowhere like spam texts on your phone. They don't even ask. They just pop out 20 at a time looking you dead in the eye and say, do something. To be fair, guppies are practically invincible. Tap water? Sure. Overfeeding? Oh, they'll survive. Neglect? Still vibing. But the moment you mix sexes, oh, it is over. There will be no peace. You will be Googling how to rehome 47 guppy fry without losing my will to live. They are colorful, zippy, and fun until the tank gets so crowded you start naming fish out of spite. The only way to make this work in a 10-gallon tank without spiraling into guppy inflation apocalypse is to do an all-male tank or get really cozy with population control. And no, Karen, the pet store will not take them back. We're gonna hit them with C tier, not because they're bad, but because they will 100% turn your tank into a maternity ward with no exit plan. Listen to me, if fish had LinkedIn, Corydoris would list emotional support and floor cleaner under their skills. These bottom-dwelling gremlins are sweet, wholesome, and way too good for us. They scurry around in groups, bumping into each other like socially anxious besties. And their whole vibe screams, I made brownies for the group project even though I did all the work. They love to school, so no, getting just one is not the move, unless you enjoy watching a fish have an identity crisis. Keep at least 4 or 5 so they don't go full existential, and give them sand, not gravel, unless you want them to develop trust issues from micro scratches on their whiskery little faces. And you're not a monster, right? I mean, they are peaceful to the point where it's kind of suspicious. They just vibe. They don't eat your plants, they don't chase shrimp, they don't start fights. They just hoover the floor like little Roombas with anxiety. Also, they do this thing called the Cory Wiggle, which is like the aquatic version of a happy dance. It's amazing. You haven't lived until you've seen a group of Corys doing synchronized zoomies because you dropped a sinking wafer. So, yeah, S tier here. No complaints, no drama. Just serotonin in fish form. Now, White Cloud Mountain Minnows are the fish equivalent of those chill kids who wore flannels, listened to chill music, and never caused any problems. They're the unbothered cold water kings. And the cool part is they were literally discovered by accident in the 1930s in China and have just been swimming peacefully ever since. They don't need heaters, they don't care about pH too much, and they won't self-destruct if you forget to feed them one day. Don't make it a habit though. They're low-key pretty, always moving, and just happy to be included. And put them in a group, and they will school around like they're late for a soft indie concert. They are peaceful, hardy, and this part is weirdly rare, they won't eat anything smaller than them unless you're being ridiculous with your stocking, which means even little shrimpies have a chance if you've got hiding spots. S tier. Affordable, friendly, stylish, and too emotionally well-adjusted for this hobby. Ember Tetras are the tiny glowing introverts of the fish world. They're bright orange, barely over an inch long, and soft enough to be mistaken for floating embers, hence the name. Yeah, they don't cause drama, but they will absolutely shut down emotionally if you leave them alone in the tank. They're groupies, at least 6, preferably over 10, otherwise it's depression. Listen, they are hardy, but they need a little finesse. They like darker, tea-stained water with plenty of plants to hide in. If your tank looks like it's a cozy underwater coffee shop, they'll be in heaven. They don't pick fights, they don't nip fins, they just swim in slow loops and exist like background characters in a Studio Ghibli film. People sleep on them because they're not flashy, but honestly, they're aesthetic. They're peaceful, and they get bonus points for being somewhat shrimp safe. I don't care what you say, A tier for being an absolute gem in the right environment. Kind, colorful, and unbothered. Okay, but zebra danios? Cracked. Like actual zoomies incarnate. These fish don't stop. They're the ones who speedrun the entire tank, bounce off the glass, then do it again. They don't rest. They don't think, they just go. Now, they are great for beginners because they can survive literal chaos. I mean, bad water, missed feedings, you name it. But drop them in a 10-gallon tank, and suddenly they're sharks with an itch. If they don't have room to stretch their fins, they'll turn into tiny torpedoes with attitude problems, like an underwater cat. And yes, they will bully slower tank mates just for existing. They need space in a squad of at least 5. Otherwise, they'll swim solo with the emotional stability of someone who just opened YouTube for 12 hours straight and forgot to eat. If you're gonna keep them, they deserve a longer tank and equally speedy friends who won't get pancaked by their zooms. C tier. Not because they're awful or anything, but because cramming them in a 10-gallon tank is like making a kid with ADHD sit through a 4-hour silent film. It's not right. They gotta move. The Galaxy Rasbora, aka Celestial Pearl Danio, for when it wants to sound fancy, is your indie art student fish. It looks like it shops exclusively at underwater thrift stores. Tiny, speckled with white stars, deep blue body, and red fins. Total aesthetic overload. Now on paper, it should be perfect for a 10-gallon. They stay small, they don't fight, they don't speedrun the tank, and their whole vibe is calm micro starlight energy. But, oh honey, the hardiness is where the problems start. These little beans are sensitive. You even think about fluctuating water parameters and they're like, I simply won't be here anymore. They need clean water, low flow, lots of plants, and stable temps, like your toxic ex. Yeah, she doesn't need the plants as much though. And anyways, they require consistent care or they just vanish without warning. Okay, that's like your toxic ex. That's like your anyways, they can work, but only if you're running a tank with like a high-end spa with matcha. Yeah, C tier. They're beautiful, but emotionally fragile. Handle with extreme caution and zero chaos energy. Ah yes, the fish that everyone recommends for algae, but no one warned you about the trauma. Odos are adorable. Tiny, peaceful, and they do this cute little sucker face thing where they stick to the glass like aquatic Roombas, but owning them is like being given that pet that eats only one brand of food, only at 3 p.m., and only if you whisper kind affirmations. You're a beautiful little fish, man. You're a beautiful little fish. Sorry. Here's the thing. Most Odos are wild caught, so when they show up at the store, they're already stressed, undurfed, and one bad nitrate away from ghosting. If your tank isn't mature, translation months old with a well-established ecosystem, they literally might not find enough to eat. You think they're chilling on the glass, but nope, they're just slowly starving to death while pretending everything's fine. And no, algae wafers don't always cut it. These fish want biofilm, aka that soft tank slime you build up over time with plants, rocks, and not being a noob. In a 10-gallon tank, you can make it work if you've got a seasoned tank, gentle parameters, and backup snacks, but still a solid C tier. I love them, I respect them, but don't underestimate the level of it-girl dietary pickiness that you signed up for. Oh no, absolutely not. I don't care what your uncle told you or what that one Walmart tank looked like. Goldfish in a 10-gallon is a war crime. They're not beginner friendly. They're not small. They're not peaceful little swimmers who can just grow to the size of the tank. That's a myth, sweetheart. Goldfish always outgrow their tank. They're massive poop machines with the appetite of a vacuum cleaner and the metabolic rate of a raccoon on Adderall. Even the baby feeder ones. Yes, give it 6 months and it'll be a chunky tank-destroying menace that murders your water quality and demands a 55-gallon penthouse just to breathe. Oh, and fancy goldfish. Worse. They're clumsy, they're sensitive, and they're prone to swim bladder issues. And they need water so pristine you'd think they were bottling it for sale. F tier. Not just a bad fit, a dangerous one. Please don't do it. Goldfish deserve better, and your 10-gallon deserves peace. So I can hear you thinking, I just want a little algae eat it. And someone goes, get a pleco. Okay, why do they always say that though? These fish start small, sure, but they're literal catfish vacuum monsters. Even the so-called dwarf varieties either outgrow your tank or absolutely ruin your aquascape by bulldozing through plants like they're late to work. They're also high-waste, high-protein feeders, and many of them, they don't even touch algae unless they're starving. The bristlenose is the only one that might not be a disaster, but even that gets 4 to 5 inches and poops like it's getting paid. What a job. Also, these fish love driftwood. They need driftwood, but add driftwood to a 10-gallon and suddenly you have zero swim space and a water tint that makes your tank look like it's cosplaying as a tea shop. We'll put these guys in the E tier. They're not the worst creature alive, but they're definitely not for nanotanks. Your water chemistry, your plants, and your sanity will thank you for choosing something else. Scarlet bodies are what happen when you cross an aquarium hobbyist's dreams with a hinge date that goes, by the way, I only eat live food and I hate company. They are jaw-droppingly beautiful, tiny ruby red bodies with blue highlights that shimmer like they're on their 4th CoStar app download. But the drama is immense. They're micro-predators, so flakes and pellets? Yeah. Try again. They want live baby brine shrimp. They want microworms, Daphnia, basically the Whole Foods of fish food. If you're not culturing live snacks in your kitchen like a mad scientist, don't even try. Also, they do not play well with others. Even other bodies can catch fins if you don't set up your tank right. They'll hide, they'll sulk, and if your setup isn't pristine or well catered, they'll quietly perish like a Victorian ghost. C tier, because if and only if you're the kind of aquarist who enjoys babysitting a fish that, I don't know, acts like it's on a wellness retreat, it can be one of the most rewarding nano setups out there. But for everyone else, no thanks. That's a full-time job. Either avoid or consider species only. And that, my friends, is the fish tea. All right, just because it swims doesn't mean it slaps in a 10-gallon. Choose your tank mates wisely, or prepare for aquatic chaos, starvation arcs, and poop overload in the tank. Yeah. If this saved your fish from therapy, drop a like, sub for more tank truth, and comment your most unhinged aquarium regret below. See you next time.